You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show. I am your host, Richard Franzi, and this is podcast episode number 1023. Employee benefits are one of the main things people look into once they secure a new job. But it's simply not whether a company offers those benefits. It's also about the quality and level of benefits to be provided. With the complicated world of insurance and compliance, it is often easy to get lost. That's why I've asked Joan Garnett, Executive Vice President of Garnett Powers and Associates, to talk with us and join us today here live to share how important it is to offer employee benefits that attract and retain the best talent. Joan, welcome to Critical Mass Radio Show.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's so great to be here. I appreciate it.
It's wonderful to have you here. You know, audience, if you'd like to learn more about this radio show podcast and the CEO peer groups that I lead, then visit my company's website, criticalmass4, spelled F-O-R, business.com. All right, well, why don't we start with a story, Joan? Maybe an interesting story, is something in your background you'd like to share with our audience today.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, I have a David and Goliath story, and in this particular story, Garnett Powers is the David.
Okay.
So to start, I need to share that I have two business partners. I have my husband and a gentleman named Steve Johnson, and Steve joined us back in 1997. He became a partner a few years later. And Steve brought the need for postdoc benefits to my husband's and my awareness. Now, to explain what a postdoc is,
you read my mind.
Right?
You're good.
A postdoc is a young person that has received their PhD and is now on a 3 to 5 year research training path at a university. Mm-hmm. And they've received a grant to do that research. And Steve, having been the Assistant Dean of Grad Studies at a university for 11 years, was aware of a particular segment of the postdoc population at a large university system that wasn't being offered benefits. And it was due to a number of reasons related to how the grants were written that they weren't able to access the faculty staff employee benefit plans. So we actually began offering access to medical and dental and vision and life insurance for these folks to the postdocs at some of the participant universities in this large system. Mm-hmm. And we developed systems to actually accommodate their billing and their benefits processes. So then, come to find out, we learned that this large university system is now going to ask for a request for proposal.
That's exciting.
It was very exciting. They submitted this to the general public, and there were two brokers that actually decided to bid on these postdocs. And this is going to be all of the postdocs, not just the particular segment I mentioned earlier, but all postdocs in the system. And it was a very large national brokerage firm and GPA.
Oh, wow.
That were bidding on this project. So it was this large brokerage firm with 50,000 employees and little GPA with 8 employees, right? So
that's David and Goliath.
It was David and Goliath, and it was a mammoth bid. And you can imagine when we learned that we were going to be up against one of the largest brokerages in the country, that we were feeling a bit of angst.
Okay.
So, but we pulled it together.
Okay.
We made our presentation to an assortment of HR folks and academic affairs personnel, and believe it or not, we won the bid.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Why do you think you were able to beat the Goliath? Did they tell you, or do you know?
They did.
Okay.
They did. And basically they said that we were selected because we were willing to do what the university needed. We were willing to accommodate whatever they needed us to do to make the employee benefits experience simple and enjoyable for the postdocs.
So we look for teachable moments here on Critical Mass Radio Show. Joan Garnett is our guest. And in the first block, in the first question, we were able to give you the gong. That's a good thing. Our audience knows if they're listening to the show and they hear the gong that they need to be engaged in the content because there's probably a transferable lesson that was just shared by the guest. And I think you gave us one, right? You could have been psyched out and thought you were going to lose, and because this was a large university system, so large organizations many times like to do business with large organizations.
Absolutely.
But you were able to demonstrate that you were listening to their specific needs.
Thank you. Yes, we were. And bigger isn't always better.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's the next book, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm working on. It's called The Critical Mass Company, and it's all about how companies, mid-market companies, compete with their larger competitors. So let's fast forward then, or look at the company today. Why do clients, in addition to this large university system, pick Garnett Powers and Associates to do business with?
Well, that's a good question. And I'll start with our mission statement.
Okay.
We assist our clients with caring guidance in navigating the complicated world of insurance and compliance. And that is one of the main reasons. And they've kind of find that out. And it's really about our people. And I'm really proud to say that our account management team is not only comprised of really technically brilliant people, but they're also human beings that truly care about the outcome. And they care about the outcome of their interaction with everyone that they come into contact with. So we have a lot of foreign nationals who are calling on them with the university systems. These are folks that have come over from different countries, and they've never faced the complexity of the U.S. insurance system. So you think about how difficult it is for you and I.
Yes.
I'm an insurance broker,
Right.
But still,
Right.
there are difficulties for us to navigate our system. Something as simple as just finding a provider. If you're from China or France and you're used to socialized medicine and you've never had to do that before, it's a daunting task.
Right.
So it's not unusual for our account managers to spend a half hour to 45 minutes on the phone with one postdoc or one foreign national just to help them get through the system and understand it.
You know, one of the things that I wanted to mention is that part of the critical mass company work that I'm doing, the research on how smaller companies compete with larger competitors, is this idea of having a very defined niche that they are focused on and become experts in. And clearly this postdoc space is that kind of a niche for you. But I also know that Garnett Powers, and Associates does other business as well as the postdoc business, right?
We do.
Okay.
And we have those same account managers helping those folks. So on their business services division, when somebody calls in and has trouble, and sometimes our own folks here have, U.S. citizens have just as much trouble accessing the system.
Right.
They're really helping them just as much. We've actually hired these nurturers who are what I would call emotionally intelligent and really like helping people. And they like it so much that quite a few of them have stayed a long time at Garnett Powers because they just enjoy being on the phone or communicating with these folks. And I have one person that's been with us for 16 years, another for 17 years, and
Wow.
the rest of our team has been with us from 5 to 7 years. And, I think what's told us is that if you're not a nurturer and highly emotional intelligent and really wish to help people, then you're not going to be a fit at GPA.
Right. That's awesome. And it's great to have that type of longevity in the workforce. I think, tell me, Joan, it makes it easier to run the business when you have people who have been there, been through it's not their first rodeo. They understand the cycle, and your clients get used to dealing with them. That's got to be comforting for your clients as well, who stay with you for a long time as well, I would think.
It is, absolutely. And that's what they tell us.
All right. Well, there's another teachable moment. We're going to keep moving along. We don't need to gong every answer that she gives, but ladies and gentlemen, this is just chock full of transferable knowledge here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. One more before the break. I wonder if you could think about a time where you and the team created a strategy that you were going to go off and implement to get all this great results, and the results came in, but they were different than what you had planned. Could you share a time when you saw unintended consequences of your strategic decisions?
Yes, painfully so. In the last couple of years or so, we had decided that we thought that we should be offering payroll services to our clients. Now, keep in mind we're an employee benefits broker, and this would have been a big detour off of our path, but we thought because we had heard our clients basically telling us on an ongoing basis how unhappy they were with their payroll companies. And we thought, well, gee, should we really look into that? Well, it turns out that a company contacted us that was actually licensing brokers to offer payroll services. And we listened to them and thought it sounded really good. And my sales team said, yeah, wow, what a great opener. Let's sell payroll. Okay. And we really liked the system that these folks were offering because it integrated actually benefits administration as well as payroll.
Okay.
So it was going to be something
Right.
that would be great for the clients. So we went ahead and went with this company. We spent a few $1,000s licensing. We got trained. We paid a monthly licensing fee. And then, unfortunately, as we started to call on our clients and we started to call on our prospects, we found that this was such a daunting task to change payroll that they really didn't want to do it. And it's like, call us back next year. So we said, okay, well, my salespeople who spent about 6 months really trying to market this program, and we had a lot of opportunities. We did get the opportunities.
Okay.
It's just nothing was closing.
Right.
And so eventually what happened is my salespeople said, Joan, can we please stick to our core
Oh my
of
gosh.
what we know what
So
to
they
do?
went 180.
Yeah. And we're not getting anywhere with this. And I said, you know what, you're right. We need to stick with our core. We need to just focus on what we do best.
Right.
And so I had to terminate the relationship
Wow.
with these folks. And so I was culpable of really saying, oh, we're going to go off in this direction. It's going to be great. It's going to be an opener. And just didn't work.
Right. Well, that's unfortunately all too common of a story for small middle market companies where you're trying to kind of add new products and services. You think they're complementary. It sounded like you had a system that was actually integrated, which would have been awesome. And
It was.
but the
It
customer
was
and,
awesome.
and the marketplace spoke.
Marketplace spoke.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joan Garnett. That was a great example of unintended consequences of business decisions, which is my next book, which is called Killing Cats Leads to Rats. And this will be out later this year. We're going to take our first and only commercial break here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. It's just one message from me. For those loyal listeners, you know that it's very short. We're going to be back here talking with Joan very quickly, and I'm going to ask her to share her core philosophy that she and the team are using to lead and grow her firm. You're not going to want to miss that. You know that's our guiding principle question. We're going to ask Joan that after this word from me.
Richard Franzi is the author of 2 popular business books for CEOs. His first book, Critical Mass, The 10 Explosive Powers of CEO Peer Groups, was the first book ever written on the secret value of CEO peer groups. His second book, now with newly updated information, is Critical Mass, The Power of CEO Guiding Principles. Richard's books contain powerful information to help CEOs running middle market companies gain valuable insight to improve their decision-making skills. Richard's books are available as paperbacks or Kindle versions from Amazon.com. To find them, type Richard Franzi in the search box.
This edition of Critical Mass Radio Show. I am your host, Richard Franzi. You know, all of our shows can be heard anytime on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, and several hundred former guest websites whose CEOs have appeared on the show. Hopefully, Joan and the team will put her interview on their website as well. You know, since 2009, thank you. Since 2009, we've reached several 100,000 listeners through our live stream, podcast, and the other channels that we use. Simply type into your favorite podcasting service these 4 words, Critical Mass Radio Show, and you'll automatically be delivered these great interviews that we do each week with our fine guests. All right, Joan, I said before the break I was going to ask you to share your core philosophy, kind of the guiding principle that you and the team are using to lead and grow your firm. Could you share that with our audience, please?
Absolutely. It's very simple. And it's our core philosophy basically is to care about the outcome of all of our business interactions. And that's care about the outcome of our interaction with our team members, our clients, our vendors, treat them all with compassion, respect, integrity, consistency, and strive for perfection while achieving excellence, if we can. Little Vince Lombardi there.
Yes.
Love Vince Lombardi.
Well, the outcomes are the results that you get for your clients, yes?
Right, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And has this always been the core guiding principle, or have you evolved to it?
It always has.
Okay.
We care about the outcome.
Okay.
And just saying that, I think, to our team members, it really resonates with them.
Especially if they're emotionally intelligent and connected and caring, then that's why they stay with you for 17, et cetera, years, right?
Yes, absolutely. They're very caring, nurturing, emotionally intelligent people.
Emotionally intelligent people. All right. Well, let's move on. You know, we talked about the complexity of delivering insurance and benefits. You know, I only see it once a year when my wife, because we get my benefits through her, she's a teacher,
Right.
and how we get that, and the options and And all that's gone on outside of, with insurance, et cetera, is probably clouding the waters as well. But how are you delivering this comprehensive solution and benefits to your clients?
Well, first I'll start with that we listen. We just don't hear, but we listen to what the client is saying. That's most important. And we want to understand exactly what they need and why they want it. At that point, then we can make solution-based recommendations. So kind of getting back to our mission statement that caring guidance, this comes in at that point to insurance and compliance. We will take on our client's billing reconciliation by paying the carrier directly or just by comparing their insurance billing to what we show as the current enrollment status. That's huge for most companies because the HR department or the business owner really doesn't have time to do that.
Right.
We're also a third-party administrator, which allows us to collect and pay premiums on their behalf. So that is really a game changer with a lot of companies because they don't want to take that on. It's too burdensome. If you're offering medical, dental, vision, and life and disability insurance, and you're getting bills from all these different carriers, it's very difficult to stay on top of that. So we offer that eligibility tracking. In addition, most importantly, we make sure our clients are compliant with ERISA, which is the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. Most folks don't understand how important that is. They are asking for a DOL audit, a Department of Labor audit, if they aren't compliant.
And that's not good.
No, it is not.
You don't want that.
You don't want the DOL there knocking at your door.
Because this is federal, and this isn't state. You're dealing with the federal government.
Absolutely. And we're finding that many, if not most of our prospects are out of ERISA compliance and are exposed to potential fines. So,
and they can be onerous, these fines, right? I mean, they can be very serious. They can go back in time. I mean, it's...
Absolutely.
This is not...
And it's so simple to stay compliant.
For
you just rely on Garnet Powers
there you
to
go.
do it for you, right?
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Sure.
the type of... Because listening to this radio show are business owners and CEOs of middle market companies across North America, companies just like your firm. So what type of clients do you do business with on the commercial side?
We're across all
industries.
What
about
and
size?
Markets. Size, we are probably the same, probably from 20 to, I would say, 500 in the commercial marketplace.
Okay. So if someone's listening, they're the CEO, top executive of a company that has between 20 and 500 employees, that's the kind of company that you know how to service with the model that we've been discussing here today.
Absolutely.
Okay. All
Absolutely.
Right, great. Anything else you want to say about
Yeah, we do handbook development and review as well. So that's, getting away a little bit from what most brokers do, but something else that we do, and I think that we really need to talk about this, it's very important, is wellness and bringing wellness into the workplace because this country is really suffering from the effects of an obesity and diabetes epidemic, cardiovascular disease as well, and the majority of healthcare dollars are not spent in urgent medical crises, but 75% of the U.S. healthcare budget is spent on care for chronic conditions.
Many of them preventable, lifestyle-based.
Preventable, lifestyle-based.
Okay.
So, here we are, this high-tech country that can do so much and innovate. But the CDC tells us that 7 out of 10 deaths among Americans are from the chronic diseases. So it's really a nightmare, and we need to kind of rein this in. So at Garnet Powers, we're trying to do our best to educate folks on how to be well. And so on our website, we're actually putting up a blog on a weekly basis about healthy things that you can do. It's available for the employer and for the employee to take a look at, as well as recommending wellness fairs to our employers. Wellness fairs will bring in biometric screenings and yoga and nutritional counseling, fitness training, and these fairs are generally at no cost to the employer. So it's a great way for, if an employer is not offering anything from a wellness standpoint, to get that going in their company.
Joan, that sounds like it's a benefit on a bunch of levels for the employer. I mean, I would think to have those kind of fairs, your employees think, well, they must care about me more than just the output, right? They're caring about me.
Absolutely.
And if some of them take up these healthier lifestyle habits, that may mean more productive, less time off, maybe even down the road, less instances where they need hospitalization and some type of long-term care or something. So
absolutely,
this could really be a game changer for people.
It is a game changer for people.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that employers will take that responsibility on themselves to do that.
I would think too, as the younger workforce comes in, millennials, etc., they're hoping for and looking for those type of added benefits, which is what we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show, right?
Right.
It's more than just offering comprehensive coverage that's affordable. It's other things that help the workforce.
Well, it's all about utilization and claims. So if we make people healthier, they're not going to go to the doctor as much, they're not going to go to the hospital as much, they're not going to go to the emergency room as much. So therefore, utilization goes down, less claims. All of us would benefit from that from a premium standpoint.
So now you're talking about an ROI.
There
right?
You go.
The hard dollars,
Absolutely.
in addition to all the rest of the things that
Absolutely.
we've talked about. Joan Garnett
Right.
of Garnett Powers. Okay, last meaty question, next to the last total question for you here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast today. Can you think about a time where a peer executive shared with you an experience that helped you overcome a challenge you were facing at the time in your business? And if so, could you tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, I have to say that the president of a local chamber of commerce actually helped me to solve a challenge with getting our salespeople connected and really learning the power of networking.
Uh-huh.
And he was wonderful and mentioned that having them go through Strength Finders first would be good for them, which they did. Make sure that they are truly salespeople and that they, have the right personality for sales. And so we did that and found out they are both suitable for sales. And after that, he just said, you need to give them the opportunity to figure out what type of networking group they really want to become a part of. Don't force them into something. Don't force them into a chamber. Don't force them into anything that might not really stick with their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't, and let them choose. And they both have chosen. These are people that are on my business services side.
Okay.
And they're doing very well, and they love it. They're almost like serial networkers now. So, it's
Great.
like, okay.
They're really taken to it then.
Right. They have, very much so. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was very much something helpful that a peer executive helped me with. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, final question, Joan. If someone would like to learn more about your firm, how do they find you online?
Very easily.
Okay.
So it's www.garnett-powers.com is
I'm
our
going to
website.
ask you to spell that, though.
It's GARNETT-POWERS.com.
Okay.
And then we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and we're also on YouTube.
Under the same...
Under Garnett Powers.
So once you get it once, you can go everywhere through your social media channels.
Everywhere.
And it sounds like with the blog that you're posting, there's reasons to check out your site beyond learning the products and services that you do.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's great.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being a friend of the program, a part of the Critical Mass CEO peer group community. I've enjoyed this time we've had today. I've been looking forward to having you on the show for some time. So thanks for giving me your time and a bit of your knowledge to our audience, Joan.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our engineer for today's show, none other than Paul Roberts. Our producers are Joan Park, Crystal Nunley, and Haley Stern. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, it is CEO Peer Groups. On Twitter, on LinkedIn, and YouTube, it's Richard Franzi. Yeah, so on Twitter, it's CEO Peer Groups. On LinkedIn, it's Richard Franzi, Franzi. And on my website, it is simply criticalmass4forbusiness.com. Until the next show, I hope that all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.
You have been listening to Critical Mass Radio Show Business Talk Show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. North Korea appears to have crossed a critical